in both courses, I did very well. In IELTS, everything was over 8, 8.5 bands. In CELPIP, everything was 11 and 12. So I think just among my friends, we were all immigrants and we talked about these courses. They were all impressed with my marks. They just asked me what I did. I told them what I did. They did the same thing and they scored very nice marks too. For example, I always tell people in grammar, if you make more than 2 mistakes, forget a 9 in CELPIP, forget an 8 in IELTS. Just 2 mistakes. It's that strict. So not only your grammar needs to be perfect, but also you cannot use any simple words. But that's not how they want you to sound like someone who doesn't talk normally. I mean, if I talk to you and I say stuff like, okay, I did this in my life. Furthermore, I did this. Moreover, I did this. It sounds like I'm reading from a book, but that's how I want you to do.
Since childhood, we have been told that English is so hard to learn because this is not our first language. Well, is it? I don't really think so. Because today we sit down with the CEO of Desired Education, Sean JD, who has been doing this work for years and now he's excellent in this job, and he and his team is helping hundreds and thousands of students to achieve their desired score in CELPIP, in IELTS or OET. We talked about a lot of stuff, how to focus, how to achieve all those scores, what are the tricks and what are the tips. And we also talked about if you do want to start your own business with it. So without further ado, let's start with podcast with Sean. Welcome to Elkadia.
Welcome, Shine. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm good. How about you?
I'm good, thank you. So, thank you first of all. By the way, give you a chance to talk to you. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
For sure. So hello, guys. My name is Cheyenne. A lot of people know me as Sean. I would love to introduce myself, but I'm known as the tutor guy on YouTube and on different places. So I'll talk about myself a little bit and then what I do and how people know me. My name is Cheyenne again. I live here in the small town, or you can call it a city, a small city of Winnipeg, Manitoba, known as the coldest place, also known as Winterpeg in Canada. And I'm married to a beautiful wife of mine. She's from the Philippines. I live here with her, with my mom. We have a small house here. We live a very simple life. That's all about us. So nothing really interesting there. But what my audience want to know about and what a lot of people know me for is my tutoring videos, my business, my English teaching business online, where we offer a lot of English courses, most popular ones being CELPIP, IELTS, OET, these kinds of courses that have taken the market by storm. You know, we offer some of the best tutoring options, quality lessons, and we'll, of course, talk about that today. But that's my basically when you asked me to define myself. When I define myself, half of my definition is what I do in business, what I do at work, because that consumes like 14 hours of my day every day. So that's a part of me, I feel, and that's something that I'm really passionate about. That's pretty much me. It's not a life that could be modeled because it's like 14 hours of work and 2 hours of enjoyment per day, but that's pretty much me.
All right. It was well structured. Like you have like a sharp every single word in it. So it was like that. By the way, people call you Sean, like Sean.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
When people cannot pronounce it. A lot of people think it's a girl's name. So that's a bit confusion when I go to places. Usually when I have appointment somewhere, if there's some women's thing and there's a name Cheyenne, they would ask the women, is that your appointment? So, so for convenience, it's Sean for a lot of people.
Yeah, I'll call you Sean. By the way, let me tell you a little story, okay? Like life is always somebody has to be a learner. If he has to learn something big every day, we learn something new, right? So I was browsing my YouTube. I watch a lot of podcasts. Somehow, like I might have searched something about English, and your video was showing a recommendation, and it was something like a vocab crash course, something like that. So I just clicked it and it was so fascinating. Like, although like I have been here in Canada like for almost 5 years, but I was not familiar with all those words. Like I have never used it basically. I knew it, but I have never used it. And I said, okay, this is like it was the only video of like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I said, okay, we need Sean on the podcast because there are like all of my friends, I never saw them using all those words. Although like they were so nice and well structured, like as you'd given your introduction. So in introduction, it was everything perfect. Sean, how this idea came in your mind, that why you wanted to be a tutor, like how this actual thing started?
My education is in I'm an accountant actually in terms of my education. So it's a
Okay.
thing from being a tutor. Well,
Right.
what happened was I gave the IELTS exam myself, IELTS and CELPIP. In both courses, I did very well. In IELTS, everything was over 8.5 bands. In CELPIP, everything was 11 and 12.
Mm-hmm.
So just among my friends, we were all immigrants and we talked about these courses. They were all impressed with my marks. They just asked me what I did. I told them what I did. They did the same thing and they scored very nice marks too. So eventually they referred people, and this was all free at first, right? It was just friends and family. But
Right.
then I decided, well, I could make some money out of this, and I'm putting a lot of my time and energy in it. And then it just started helping more and more people. So I thought like it was not an intention of mine to get into this, because
Mm-hmm.
before this I was in sales and accounting, so I was doing both things. But because everybody was benefiting, I thought that, okay, this might be something that I'm talented in. I might have a gift for this. Then I started posting on YouTube, got more traction, and people started saying, "We love your course. We're benefiting with this." Just like people gave a lot of good reviews. And then I started having more and more confidence in me that this is probably what I'm meant to do, not sell stuff or do numbers as an accountant. I could do this as a business and not only make money, but also help lots of people because apparently people love what I'm doing.
Right.
Um, it just was a win-win situation for everybody, and it just grew from there.
Yeah, that's right. And like the everything in nowadays is English. Although
Yeah,
like everything is invented like day by day, although there are so many translators, but if you don't know some basic words, when you have to talk to like somebody, you can't be always opening the translator. Like especially living in Canada, like French and English are the crucial languages. If you don't know French, okay, that might be ignored somewhere. Like for example, if you are not living in Quebec, like I live near Quebec, so if I go to Quebec, that's hard for me. But
yeah,
other than that, everywhere English is perfect. Like if you know English, amazing, right? So
yeah,
half of them, like our audience, will be our like international students as well. So who might be going to take a English exam like in the future or sometime soon. So what are the basic things that you have seen in students that they make mistakes? Because let me show you a little small story again. So I had a friend. So he prepared 2 months for self-pip, and what he got was 7, 8, 6.5 or 6 and 7, something like that. So it meant it wasn't good. Like if like somebody prepared for 2 months, so that much score is not appealing. And while on the other hand, my other friend gave the IELTS exam, and he studied like almost 2 hours every day like for a month, and he got 777 it, which is quite appealing. Like that's what immigration wants. Like if you want to get additional points, that's the
yeah.
score that you need. And what are the things that they miss? So there is some mistake, like other student is putting less effort but maybe on the right place, that's why he is able to achieve the good marks. But on the other time, other side, people are wasting a lot of time in doing stuff that they shouldn't. So you know much better than us. Please, if you can shed a light on that.
Well, the most common things, if we're just going into the technical parts of the language, they're grammar and vocabulary. So people lack good vocab, it's not advanced enough, and they make lots of grammar mistakes in writing and speaking without really knowing them. That's why
Mhm.
people think that I should get a higher mark, but they don't know that they're making tons of mistakes because grammar is very, very detailed. So that's what I'll say from the technical side of things, and people need to improve on those things. But the problem is people think it's an English exam, right? And we have done English exams in schools. So we know that, okay, if we have this much level of English, we'll do good in IELTS and CELPIP. And,
Right.
it used to be true until I would say 2014, 2015. After that, these exams went maybe too corporate or they became just too wild in terms of what they expect from candidates. Because
Hmm.
after that, I've seen a record number of people failing. I never had all of these complaints before with people approaching us and saying that we're failing. Before 2015, it was relatively easy for people to
Hmm.
pass. But I've seen, number one, that people have started failing much more, and they're really good speakers, good writers. A lot of them are native speakers. They fail too. And I've also
Yeah.
seen the level of exams, because when I practice myself, the new exams, reading and listening, they're hard. They're very
Mm.
difficult. So the exams have become tough, the marking criteria has become tough. So what was needed to get an 8 in IELTS now, or before versus now, is much different. The criteria is more strict. And that means, for example, I always tell people in grammar, if you make more than 2 mistakes, forget a 9 in CELPIP, forget an 8 in IELTS, just 2 mistakes. It's that strict. So not only your grammar needs to be perfect, but also you cannot use any simple words. So the way you and I are talking, and right now I just said so, right? That's stuff like that. Any fillers, we need to be on the watch for all these small things and all the basic words. We cannot do anything that we do in
Hmm.
daily life. But that's what people think. People think we can go and just converse like daily people do. And it's just make sure we don't make mistakes, and that's good enough, but that's not good enough. You need to be now talking at a level of a literature PhD and writing in a similar way, which is a lot to ask from a normal person, but that's how the requirements are now.
Okay, okay. I think these are the small things, like who gonna say like, okay, so what is gonna make it affect? Like, okay, that's fine because this is small word. What is gonna do? But the whole like band structure is depend on the smallest things, like even dot or commas in it, right?
And we're used to
And
those things, right? Like we're used to ums and so's and ands, and that's how we normally talk. Honestly, if this was a fair exam, that's how they would mark it, how people normally talk. But that's not how they
right,
mark it. They want you to sound like someone who doesn't talk normally. I mean, if I
yeah.
talk to you and I say stuff like, okay, I did this in my life. Furthermore, I did this. Moreover, I did this. It sounds like I'm reading from a book, but that's
Mhm.
how they want you to talk. So that's the expectation.
And there is another thing. People say like your accent needs to be perfect. Like you have to have a native accent if you want to go for self-pep. What are your thoughts?
No, no,
Is it
that's
important?
No, that's not true. That's just probably hearsay.
Yeah.
There's no marks for accent. You can see it clearly on the marking scheme. There are no marks for it. There are marks for clarity. So if you
Hmm.
have a very heavy accent that the examiner cannot understand you, then you lose marks. But you could have any accent. You just have to be clear and fluent.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. So now I'm gonna shift a little bit to the other part of learning. So now, as we know, like AI is evolving day by day, right? So let's say ChatGPT. So if we provide such data which is available on internet through extensions to the ChatGPT, then what is gonna happen? The software gonna give us all the format for structure for anything that we ask for, right? And what do you think the future is gonna look like? As we know, like now everybody is going on YouTube, everybody is going to institutes. Is there any like the problem kind of stuff that you see with the Chat GPT to the people who are teaching it? I'm not targeting, but I'm just saying with the Chat GPT, something like that can happen, or what?
With ChatGPT, it's very impressive at times, but at times I just think it's similar to Google. It does a very good job at putting things in words and explaining things, and of course, things like writing assignments, essays, and so on. That
Right.
Google can't do that. It can also take complex queries, like it can take a like 100 or 200 words question and then answer that, which Google cannot. But at the end of the day, the information it provides is pretty much the same that you see online in other places. So for example, a lot of people go online to check these CELPIP sample answers, which are very basic answers.
Right.
People write these answers or say when they're speaking, they would say these answers will give you a 9, and they're full of mistakes. If people actually go and speak like that
Mm.
or write like that, they score 7 or 6 in real life. So what ChatGPT does is, as you know, it crawls websites and gets the same material that these people are saying, which you can also Google. So it gives you that information which might not be exact or accurate. And that's why people should rely on real humans, because you might get information, but it's not correct. A lot of my students have also submitted their writings to ChatGPT for assessment. It's incorrect assessments. It again marks in a very lenient way and not the real way in the how things work in the real world. So you can use that as a tool, but it's not guaranteed to be accurate.
That's where the real difference comes between a human and a machine,
Of course.
right? So that's why. Okay, sounds good. I think that's the one and only answer that should be more than enough for this topic because there is no other thing left. But yeah, but people can still learn from ChatGPT, but like for example, sentence formation. that kind of things, not giving it the whole, like, the, what do you call it, the whole paragraph or you're writing or everything. Okay, please mark it for me, and you just rely on that, and you can say, okay, I'm good to go for the test. So yeah, that's right. And Sean,
Actually,
I'm
sorry to
gonna,
cut you. Yeah, sorry to cut you there. I actually recommend people to use that for grammar
right?
correction.
Is
That
it?
and yeah, that and Grammarly. So these software, do you know about Grammarly?
Yes, I
Yeah,
know
it's a
that.
very good software. Yeah, so those software can tell you your mistakes. Again, it comes with problems. I mean, you will get the answers, but they don't understand the context where they're used. So it's not again 100% accurate, but a lot of times you can get the core or the basic grammar mistakes corrected with their use.
All right. So basically, like some people who doesn't know Grammarly, if we can tell them in a short, can we?
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
grammar, you want me to explain what Grammarly is?
Yeah. Basically, you can explain it much better than me. So that's
Sure,
why.
sure. So Grammarly is an extension. I think it was developed by someone in Ukraine. So it's a pretty good software which you can install on Chrome as an extension, or you can install just on your computer. What happens is whenever you write anything via email, you're writing emails, or you're on a Word document, it does a detailed grammar check more than the what's that, the
Normal.
conventional, the conventional, the old word spell check. So this Grammarly software is more advanced, finds more mistakes, and also gives you suggestions. Sometimes it tells you why these suggestions are being used, so it has a 3 sentence explanation as well. So that helps people understand what mistakes they're making. So it's a useful tool if you don't have a tutor, if you don't want to invest money, if you want to do it yourself. It's a useful tool to improve.
But yeah, but if you still want to invest money, go for Sean, sir. I would say, because like it is much better investment actually. I think you have some courses available as well, right?
We have many courses available, and in terms of investment, they're backed by our money back guarantee. So you
Mm-hmm.
don't actually lose money if you fail or if you don't see any improvement. It's money back guarantee with all our courses. The most popular ones are CELPIP, IELTS, and OET.
Mm-hmm.
And we're both in Canada, so these are some of the most popular courses for students and immigrants coming into Canada, also in Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. And there are courses for all of that. We also have tutors for those. So it's not only the live sessions that you can have one-on-one, but also the self-paced courses. And Harpreet, I've noticed in the last 2 years, I think maybe after COVID,
Right.
self-paced courses have picked up so much more than the live one-on-one classes, because it's just the ease of the self-paced course. Like you can buy it, you can use it anytime, you can revisit it multiple times. A lot of people do end up needing a tutor, even after those courses. Some don't, but some do. So they combine some tutoring hours with the self-paced course. And if they do that, they don't need those many tutoring hours. They can take almost half of the package that they would
Right.
usually take, because the self-paced course teaches them all those core components. So by doing this, they save a lot of money. And on our
Mhm.
website, all those options are available. So we offer a lot of flexibility on whatever people want to choose, and everything is money back guarantee.
All right, sounds good. And by the way, that you said like you provide one-on-one consultation. What does it do? Like, is it like how they are performing? Do they take their test to evaluate that, or they just mock test, or what it is? If they want to know, like they might be curious.
Sure. Yeah. When anyone contacts us for one-on-one lessons, we start them off with a free trial session.
Right.
That session, they get their writing and speaking assessed mainly in that time. And we also give them an idea of what their reading and listening marks would look like. So we tell them what level you're at, what do you need to do to score more. We tell them, hey, you have multiple options. Okay, if you want to study at home, if you don't want to pay money to us, that's fine. These are the resources you need. Try it on your own. We don't recommend that because people make lots of mistakes on their own. But if you invest your money, which is one of the best prices in the market, with us, we'll teach you these things in 10 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours, whatever you need. So it's customized according to your needs. So if you're, for example, at an 8 and you need a 9 in CELPIP, we would recommend you
Right.
10 hours. But if you're really weak, you have a level of 5 and you need a 9 in CELPIP, we'll say you need 30 to 40 hours. And if you tell me that I want to do the exam in 2 weeks, but you're so weak, I'll just tell you that you're risking it. Better not give me money. Just try it yourself. Once you fail, you'll realize you need to give it time. So, we give genuine advice. and it's customized based on the person. It's not a certain package you have to pay.
Mhm.
Because of the one-on-one nature of it, whatever you need to work on, we focus on that. So it's not like, first 5 hours are these and next 5 hours are these. We see what you need most. So if you need more help in writing, we'll work on, for example, providing you all the tips and tricks for writing, all the templates, the
Mhm.
strategies that you need to understand first. We'll give you a bunch of writing homework. We don't ask students to write or speak, well, speaking sometimes in classes, but we don't ask students to write in class because that's a waste of their money. It's better to write at home, bring it to the class. We'll provide you feedback. And it's all online classes, so you don't have to leave the comfort of your home. In the class, we provide you feedback. Every day you get more and more feedback. So day one, you understand what your mistakes are, do homework. Now improve. Now in day two, these are the remaining mistakes, and day three, and so on. Every day we make the mistakes lesser and lesser. So by the end of it, the student is well trained. Those are the first steps to get rid of all the mistakes. And the second half of the classes is more on advanced vocab, advanced sentences, the structure. Again, as I mentioned earlier, it needs to be like a PhD level writing or speaking. So
Okay.
in the next half of the classes, we try to teach students to get to that level. And everything that is basic in their speaking or writing, any basic words, everything needs to be evolved. Everything needs to be fancy, just something very uncommon that people don't usually say. Because the whole thing is to impress the examiner. And those are the things we work on. So it's A to Z, from start to finish. We work on everything you need to make you successful.
That is amazing, actually. Like, all if the I what I notice is like people don't want to leave their home. That is the number one thing that you cleared it out. And the second thing that I saw, like there are courses available, but they give the bundle to every single person, the same bundle. Let's say, like if we take the real life example, if somebody is like thirsty, you don't just give them food, you give them water, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody need food, you don't just give them water. So like it's a example that I say, like if somebody is weak in the writing, then you just don't give them the listening stuff, right? So which is not going to help it, because they are already listening to so many things around them, right? So that those two aspects, although they all were great, but those two were really amazing. I never saw like somebody doing this much effort, by the way. And good applause to you. So thank you for helping all of them. And one thing, let's say from your side, because there are might be some people who want to start a business with English. Let's talk about them, right? So as you said, you are CA, but after that you shifted to content creation. Then as a teacher, now you are performing really well on online. Okay,
Yeah.
so how did this actually thing, like you started? You told it a little bit about it, by the way, but how do you think, okay, this is the time I should move to this side? And what are the things people need to take care of if they want to get into this business?
It depends where you start. Some people are really lucky; they have lots of money from mommy and daddy, so those people can just get into business. They
Yeah.
wouldn't really worry about paying bills, right? So they get into it. I always recommend studying something about marketing, taking a few courses. I did that. So in the first 2 years, my business was not getting a lot of sales. People loved what I did, but the problem was getting the message across. So I started
Uh-huh.
some Google ads, some YouTube ads on my own. But people see ads and sometimes they don't understand the offer. They don't understand the value. When they register, they understand, okay, this is very different than what I expected. So I had to do some marketing courses to understand how to grab attention from audience, how to make sales more, how to set budgets, all those things. So I did those courses first. So I recommend people to study that, and then you have to invest some money in marketing, try some experiments, see what works, try different packages as well, different prices. So I think the first 2 years would be a lot of experimentation. Now, I said this, that if you have mommy and daddy's money, you can get into all of that, burn through a lot of money and figure out what works. When it works, it's good. If it doesn't work, you get into another business. But
Right.
in my case, I didn't have that. When I started this work, at that time I was doing sales. I don't know in Ottawa if you have those people who follow you with a tablet in Canadian Tire or Superstore trying to sell
Yes,
you.
yes, for MasterCard kind of stuff.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes,
I
yes.
was I was one of those people. It's a very hard job, but
It is.
surprisingly, everybody on my team, they all have their businesses now. So for some reason, that kind of job, which is so demanding, trains you to be a businessman because you learn
Right.
sales. But well, that was my job, and I hated it because it is very challenging. No matter the benefit, it's very hard. A lot of people told me that I'm harassing them. So it's just every day was terrible. And you have targets. If you don't meet targets, you don't get money, you don't get food on your table. So at that time, I was doing the English teaching part-time. It was just me teaching. Now I have a team of some amazing tutors who help out. I mostly do my content creation on YouTube. I don't teach
Right.
personally, but my expert tutors do. But at that time, I was the only teacher. So I was doing that, after selling credit cards in the morning, I came home in the evening and I was teaching. And slowly the teaching thing was growing.
Mm.
So I started slacking off in the credit card thing. My manager sometimes caught me. I was in Canadian Tire selling cards, and they sometimes caught me just being on my phone, not trying to sell cards because I was ready to get
Mm.
fired. I just didn't
Right.
want myself because it's so much uncertainty because I didn't have my parents' money. So
Mm.
I didn't have the security that, if I lose a job, can I just survive on business? It does fluctuate, right?
Right.
I didn't want to quit myself. I was kind of waiting for that email to get fired, and it happened.
Right.
I got fired. I remember when I saw that email, my heartbeat was just racing. I was like, how do I do this now on my own? Because business,
Uh-huh.
even today, there's so many fluctuations. I had a great start of the year, but now it's a little slow. And then I don't know
Right.
how the next half of the year would look like. It always goes up and down, and I'm kind of used to it now. So when that happened initially, when I didn't have any experience in business, it's challenging. And then in my case, it all worked out because I did work hard. I did grow my customer base. It all turned out very well for me. But if you don't have that much money, keep aside permanent job, maybe something like sales or something that guarantees you money. So you have some
Right.
back, just like myself, and then start. But if you do have capital investment, you can risk it, go ahead. But again, once you get started, take some courses. Don't just try everything yourself. If you can invest in the courses, try the free online videos, learn something first, and then start marketing.
Mm.
Marketing, I think, is the first step. Because you need marketing to understand what your audience is and how much and what they're demanding. Like, do they need
True.
10-hour course? Do they need a complete 2-month course, etc.? Then you got to really focus on your product. And that's the most important thing. Everything that you're delivering should be helping people. So if they want to pass their English exams, that's number one priority. So where
Right.
can I get the best teachers or the companies or people who have already done this? What have they done that has made their students successful? Copy that or make it better. So coming up with the right formula, delivering value, obviously gets you good reviews, gets you good word of mouth. And that's right. These days, that's what matters, right? People always, I see this on because I have my website tracking as well. First time visitors, a lot of them buy the product the first time, but most of them buy the product the 8th time or the 10th time after visiting the website. Because during this time, they're looking at our reviews, what people are talking about on social media. That's what people
Mm.
do every time with businesses. So if you don't have good reviews, you won't make a sale. So again, deliver value, make sure people are saying good things about you, and that will help you grow as well.
That's true, actually. Like, the best, the if there is someone who has put a review or testimonial on your website, then it is same as we are talking to some friend, but online, right? And he say, no, this is really good. Okay, this is 5 star because I have bought it and I have saw difference in me, right? So whenever anybody goes to any website, first of thing, I don't know about them, but I do. What I do, look at their all the testimonials, all the reviews. Okay, then I will say, okay, I will consider it.
Yeah.
Like the course or whatever it is, my target is, right? So yeah, I think the marketing that you said is the crucial part because sometimes your product is really good, but you don't have the right people to buy it, right?
Correct.
And we have to find it. We have to like, you maybe did some campaigns for it or not?
Yes, a lot of campaigns.
A lot of campaigns. It might be like a little bit in the beginning, it might be scary, right?
Yeah.
That you are doing it and the hope if it didn't work or something like that. Did any kind of ideas or not ideas, any kind of thoughts like this came into your mind?
A lot of times. My wife was my biggest doubter, actually. She always told me that it would be inconsistent. Because at the start, only had like 5 or 6 students a month. And
Okay.
one of them cancels. I've offered this since the beginning. Like I don't tie people down. I don't say you need to buy a minimum of 10 hours. Even with students canceling classes, unlike other companies, we don't charge them. Like if you want to cancel the package, it gets canceled. So we offer
Oh,
flexibility to our students. Up to now, I haven't changed that policy. So the
Mhm.
thing was with my wife, she was like, it's inconsistent. How what if a student quits? What if three students quit tomorrow? You lose half of your monthly income, which was very true. So of course, this is, I think, not just specific to me. I think it's normal with all businesses that start. There's
Mhm.
always that uncertainty, but you just have to make so much. Here's actually, I have a formula for this, because you have good months and you have bad months. So for example, let's say I earn $3,000 a month, for example.
Right.
Monthly expenses should always be $1,000 a month. Because
Mm.
when business is good, I might make $5,000 a month. But when business is bad, I might come to 1,000 a month. So I think, from my understanding, from my knowledge, when businesses are slow, they can drop down by at least one third. So if I keep
Okay.
my expenses less than one third, it's really hard to do, because if you're earning 3,000, you want to spend all the 3,000, but you keep it limited to 1,000. You
Right.
know that it's a business, it can fluctuate. It's not a paycheck that's going to be consistent. So you don't go buy an expensive car, you don't go buy a bigger house. You keep living well below your means in business to account for that fluctuation, and then you'll
Right.
be, because yeah, it's scary, but then just be smart with the finances and expect fluctuations.
Okay. I would say write down this advice, guys, because like this kind of things people don't tell easily. They say like, okay, we're gonna experience it. Some people say, okay, we want to experience it. But these smart people are those like that is the difference between wise and smart actually. All right. I think wiser people think like, okay, we're gonna learn from other people, but smart people say, okay, we're gonna implement by ourselves. So which is not actually smart. We like, okay, this might be confusing, but yeah. So if you want to be a wise person, you might have to be, you will be learning by other people's mistake or what other people are saying who have already achieved that like level that you want to, right? And I think we are almost at the end of this podcast. There are a couple of questions that I want to ask, like because there are so many people that can relate to these questions. So the very first question is that anybody who even they if they don't want to take a test of IELTS or CELP or any, but they want to improve their English, right? So what are the basic things they should be doing every single day in their life?
That's a very good question. I have family members, and I have friends, and of course you have too. I'm sure we all
Right,
know these people who have lived in Canada or Australia, these places, for 20 years, and their English is terrible,
right,
right?
right,
We know all these kinds of people because they don't leave their community, they don't leave their friends or their comfort zone, and they want to speak in their language. And there's nothing wrong in being involved in your community, but if you want to learn English, you have to talk to native speakers, or you have to talk to even international people like other immigrants who will not know your language and will force you to speak in English as a common language. So one thing that is very important is getting out and talking to other people. I also think it's just important mentally nowadays, because we're so much stuck in social media that we don't communicate anymore. So just getting
right,
out mentally is a great thing. On top of that, it's just a lifestyle change, going on Netflix and watching English movies instead of your own languages movies. Same thing on YouTube, finding things interesting in English, which is not a hard ask, because Hollywood is the biggest and most popular thing in the world. It's the most
right,
entertaining industry. So it shouldn't be hard to find things that you're interested in. So doing that, and online as well, when you're searching, going to websites again in English, reading news in English, everything should be English. It's a lifestyle change. And the moment you will realize that you're on the right track is when you start thinking in English. So I was raised here in Canada, so I don't know, I didn't have that transition. But a lot of people who have had native accents, I've of course met all these students, when they say they started thinking in English, like when they're talking to themselves in the shower or walking on the street, that's when you know that now you're perfectly adapted to the culture. Now you're really in tune with English learning, because now your entirety, your brain also starts thinking in English. So I think it's a
right.
lifestyle change that gets you to that point.
I think like the best thing that I found out from here as well, like it was like we don't think in English.
Yeah.
When we think in Hindi or any our mother tongue language, we translate it into English.
Yep.
So that's how things work basically. Like when we are speaking to somebody, maybe we get houch-poused with all those languages. Okay, which one I have to choose, which one I have to choose. Instead of that, just choose one, right? That's what you mean to say, right?
Yes, and that takes a while. It wouldn't be like we can't choose it instantly in our mind, but just with more
Okay.
practice, more exposure, eventually it'll happen. It's like, and when you translate, and we work with, so it's not just the one half of our business is the providing English courses to customers. We also do lots of B2B. So we work with companies, translation service providers, where we train their interpreters. So I know a lot of interpreters. I know their struggles too. Those
Mhm.
people are literally translating. They interpret from their language to English. So that's okay. They're allowed to do that, but not anyone else. Because I've seen people translate even idioms from their language to English. And when you do that, it doesn't make sense.
It
Like
doesn't
there's,
make sense.
yeah, there's an
Yeah.
idiom. I don't know if it's a Pakistani thing or an Indian thing, but you might have heard not all five fingers are the same,
Yeah, that's
right?
true. It's Indian
Yeah.
too.
That's
Yeah.
Indian too. So it's when you translate it in English, it just doesn't make sense. Like in the middle of a conversation, where did fingers come from? So we might understand it back home. There's these things in our
Yeah.
world, but when people are literally translating them, it doesn't make sense to the native speaker. So I
Okay.
really mentioned a good point. I really want people to not translate, but actually just
That's true.
think and focus in English.
That is true. That is true. Even like I might done this sometime maybe. I think so. Because when you point it out, then we know, okay, this is the thing that I might have done it too. So
Yeah,
everybody have done it maybe. So
exactly.
yeah, let's get into the second question, right? So the second question is that someone who knows English really well, so they can understand the English, they can write it, they can read properly, but when it comes to speaking, they can't. Sometimes it may be the lack of confidence. Sometimes it's like whom they are talking. What I have noticed it like my friends, they don't speak with each other in English because
Yeah,
they feel like okay, they might be showing some, I don't know how to call it, maybe it's
arrogance.
kind of
Yeah.
arrogance probably, like they might feel, although they might not be feeling, but this is what they feel. So how they should avoid it, how, what are your thoughts on it, whole topic?
I've been working on a platform to fix exactly this issue. It's going to be launched hopefully in a much bigger scale. It's not very easy, so I've been working on it for years. But eventually, when it launches, it's going to fix exactly the problem you're mentioning. It's a speaking platform where people who are immigrants, and especially the ones who are studying our courses, can communicate with each other, just connect for a 15-30 minute session just to talk and be better at this skill, not only for people who are immigrants, but for anybody, because just I think communication is very dead these days because of all the media and gadgets. So that's one thing people can do to find ways to talk and
Right.
communicate. If you're at a working place, this should be easy. If you have an office, you can talk to your colleagues. Now, but after COVID, you're working at home, or if you're just working all by yourself, you might not have opportunities like these. The only thing you can do is find opportunities like these. There are still online Facebook speaking groups. They're actually very active. They post
Okay.
English tips all the day, and they comment on each other's tips. They join speaking sessions too. So a lot of people can join those Facebook speaking groups. Just put them in the search bar, you'll see plenty. There's lots of people from India in those groups actually. So they all converse in English. Then if you are in Canada, US, in these places, you're lucky because there are clubs, there are places where you can meet. It could be English speaking clubs. Again, you can easily Google them. There are Toastmasters clubs, which are not focused on just English, but public speaking in general. If
Okay.
not particular communication clubs, not only in Canada, but anywhere, you can join a volunteering clubs. You can join clubs for nonprofit organizations or organizations with where you can just spend time doing good for humanity, but also communicating with people. And hopefully you find people who you can talk to in English. So you have to find those opportunities. And it's hard for introverted people to do this. I can give this advice easily, but I make YouTube videos behind my laptop and I don't interact
Right.
with people much too. I'm introverted too, but my English is good, so I don't think I need to do this. If you're introverted and your English is bad, you gotta unfortunately try the uncomfortable thing and find opportunities to talk to people because you gotta improve your English.
True. All right. I think that was amazing. And let's get into just the last question. That is not related to English, that is not related to business, that is related to yourself, right? So Sean, this question I ask to every single person who comes to the podcast, so you can take your time to think the answers, but the thing is like, this question consists three things that needs to be your life learnings from your birth, means from your consciousness to now, that what you have learned from your whole life, like, it should be three things only, right? So it's up to you, take your time. It should be life learning, could be life learnings, could be any experiences that you want to share to other people in the short, but yeah, anything, means anything.
I'll tell you something very interesting, because the way I think of life is very deep, and
Right.
it might, a lot of people might not agree with this, but okay, that's the first thing. Then there's a second and a third. Okay, so the first thing is, this comes from a Buddhist ideology that monks believe, and it's not, it's very contradictory to everything we have discussed, because we talked about life, how to advance, career, and everything. But if you look at monks, I'm kind of a big fan of them, because what they believe is in simplicity. They believe in
Right.
keeping your wants and desires limited. But that's very hard when you're trying to grow in life, especially if you have a family, you need to provide and become really successful. I always suggest to people, though, once you reach a point where you are very successful, you're making lots of money, stop aspiring for too much. There should be some point in life where you relax, learn to sit down in front of your lawn, in front of a park, and just breathe and relax. Because I've noticed in life that human wants never stop. So a big lesson that I teach myself, because I also, I'm not perfect. I try to improve on being simple, not buy too many things, not try to crave for more money, more, because after I get, for example, my next goal might be a Lamborghini. All right, what's after that? A private jet, then a
Jet.
private island, and then
Right.
these things don't stop, right? So I'm trying to teach myself, to be happy, you got to be simple. And we learned this from the Buddhist monks. So that's one thing that I've learned in life. However, there are people attached with you. So the second thing that I know in life is not just to be simple for yourself and just live life kind of selfishly. You have to help people around you. So if everybody in this planet helped one person, it could be your wife, could be kids, are not included, because you bring kids in this world, so you got to take care of them. It's not like you're doing something extra for this world. Let's talk about people who already exist. So if you have two kids, it should be two kids plus one other person. That's how I feel.
Right.
So taking care of the existing people. If you take care of at least one person in this world, if everybody does that, you provide for them, you always make sure they have food on the table, just always be there for them, the world would be a much better place. Everybody would be so happy and relaxed, right? So just take care of one
Right.
person. That's minimum. That's what I think we should do. And the third thing is involving yourself in something that makes you happy. So the first point where I said that having peace, that could be one thing, that just trying to relax and calming your brain down, slowing down in life, that can make you happy. For a lot of people, that might not make them happy, especially the young ones. So
Right.
if there's some particular hobby, for example, art, sports, things that grow your physical and mental abilities, do that. Is spend some time there. I'm eventually, I'm pretty busy these days, but I'm thinking, because I'm finding more and more interest nowadays in foods, original foods, and cooking, and I want to do everything myself. We're in Canada, right? But there
Right.
was a recent news published that 95% of our foods that are sold in Walmart, the fruits, sorry, they are made in laboratories. They're not real fruits because they don't
Really?
have seeds. Like, yeah, if you go and check in Walmart, a lot of watermelons don't have seeds anymore, and people are like, "Where are the seeds?" So there's this, and we have seen videos of people blowing up air in the chicken to make the chicken look bigger, and so many things. So
Yeah.
we have health standards and criteria. We're not sure what is real, what's not. So I'm becoming a fan of finding places where we could get organic, real food. That is something that I want to make my hobby, growing plants and just focusing on organic items that I can get and see growing myself, maybe from farms. then I want to get into cooking a little bit, make that as a hobby that again relaxes me and I can enjoy that too. So all of the things I said are not related to business. And
Yes.
that's for someone like me. I've grown a lot. I'm in a point that I consider myself semi-retired, thankfully. So I have time to do all these things. But if you're young, if you're in your 20s, you're growing, don't follow all these advices. Of course, your advice would be more on business growth and all those things. But for me, you asked me, so I'm telling you what I prefer or what I feel the most important things in my life. Slowing down and being simple and finding happiness there, helping people around me, and getting into a hobby that you could really love and enjoy.
That was totally unique approach. My whole mind was shifted at the moment. One time I was thinking about English and business, then it all changed like monks and everybody. Yeah. For the
Very
second,
curious about life. Yeah.
yeah, that was a deep one actually. I think I wasn't prepared for it at that moment. I was just quiet. That was the first time I was quiet like that. I said, okay, okay, okay. So I think for the second point, I heard a quote that was from Muhammad Ali, I think the fighter. So I think he said, what was it? The service we give to others is the rent we pay for the room on the earth.
That's a good one.
That was it. That was a really good one. Like he said, like if you're on this earth and you have to pay the rent with the service, that you should be helping each other. So that's how you make a good society.
Exactly. That's
Right.
what makes it meaningful, right? A lot of
Yeah.
people they have these urges to make money so they can buy a big branded bag or these clothes. And I always tell these people, and I've seen these people, they're never happy. These things will never make you happy. But if you
That's
spend on
true.
other people, you help people, that is just a different level of happiness.
That's what we were talking before the podcast, that a lot of money, okay, money doesn't buy you the happiness, but the money that you get from the right work you do, that you want to do, gives you happiness.
Yeah, and spending it the right way.
In the right way. Hey, there we
Yeah.
go. There we go. And all right, I think that's it for this podcast,
I
right?
think so. Yeah, this has been
Yeah,
great. Great
yeah. Thank
podcast.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. And there might be some people who want to connect to you, so please tell them where they can reach out and where they can, if they want to chat to you, if they want to buy your course or something, please
Sure.
let them know about that as well.
Sure. So they can Google HZAD, 4 words, HZAD education. You'll see our website, our YouTube channel, and everything online that people say about us. Because a lot of people want to research, of course. So feel free to do that. You can visit our website, www.hzadeducation.com. You can also email us at info@hzadeducation.com. And also, that's our YouTube channel too. So you can check all our free resources, see what we're all about. If you have any questions relating to your IELTS, CELPIP, English language courses, OET courses, any training you need, email us. And we don't have AI bots who are going to answer you. We have real people who ask you what your weaknesses are, what your goals are. We set a customized plan and we help you in all sorts of ways.
All right, and all those links that were mentioned by Sean will be linked below in the description box. You can check it out and just go from directly. And yeah, I think that was it, Sean. How was it? How was it?
It was pretty good. I really liked it. Yeah, everything was smooth.
Yeah, that's true. All right, then. I think that's it for this podcast. And thank you, Sean, by the way. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk to you. And thank you from our audience as well. And if they have any question, they can write in the comment box. And if you guys like this video, please share it, comment it, and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye.